Yo, what's up, guys? This is Fling with Fantasy Fling, and this is your Week 11 Battle Royale first look draft. We're going to look at the game tiles. We're going to see some game environments to target, some players that we're looking to target in drafts, maybe some fades, and also just hop into a live draft on Underdog Fantasy. All right, Week 11. Side note, how is it Week 11 already? I swear the season just started. It's Week 11. Fantasy playoffs are starting in a few weeks. This is nuts. But it's a blink of an eye, and then it's over. But on this channel, we're gonna definitely be hopping into the best ball playoffs. I'm gonna be doing some live streams for that, so I'm excited for that. And then obviously, we got several more weeks of the battle royale to try to bank this thing. Pretty good week last week, but I think this week we're going to have an even better week. So let's start to look at the slate here. There's some really good spots that I want to target. Teams with implied team totals of over 24, that's typically what you're going to want to target. Their quarterbacks, their running backs, their wide receivers in stacks with the quarterbacks for sure. So a couple spots that really stand out. Detroit at home against Jacksonville, kind of a get right for their offense, get right game for their offense. They had a terrible week last week, mainly Goff. And he's got a Jacksonville team that he's going against. It's, very, very poor in the secondary. They are the worst secondary in the league, giving up 63 yards above average to opposing offenses. So I think Goff can exploit that this week. He's going to be in play. Amon-Ra, Laporta is going to be in play. And then definitely the running backs. Anytime you have a team that's this big of a favorite, they're going to be in play as well. So both Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs are guys I definitely want exposure to this week. The other highest total on the slate, we got Christian McCaffrey back last week. He looked great. 1 week removed from, the rust, hopefully. I think we'll see even more from him. He looked pretty good, was heavily involved in the passing game, but, we could potentially see a really good game from Christian McCaffrey where he scores, 20 plus. They have that 28-point implied team total. Pretty good rushing matchup against Seattle. Seattle's a bottom 5 team on the slate against the run. So I like that spot. Also, think we can go right back to Purdy. You could stack him with Christian McCaffrey. You could stack him with Jennings. Maybe it's a squeaky wheel narrative for Debo. Get right game for him. George Kittle. Pierce, all these guys are all in play. So I really like the San Fran side here. The 28-point implied team total. A couple other spots that stand out. We got Miami going against a very poor Las Vegas team. So Vegas, they're actually giving up the most points per game. So this is probably an explosion spot for Miami's offense, assuming Tua's healthy, or not Tua. We know Tua's healthy now. Tyreek with a little wrist injury that he's got going on. I love Achane in this spot. I think he could play Tua. I stack him definitely with Tyreek Hill. So this is a really good spot. And then a game environment, Baltimore going against Pittsburgh. This is one that, even though Pittsburgh has a good defense, Vegas has decided that Baltimore is going to score a lot of points nonetheless. So I like Lamar in this spot. Tough corners. I think you could run him naked. I like Henry. I like both Lamar. So I don't necessarily think you need to stack Lamar. In fact, he has been in the winning Battle Royale contest this year, unstacked. I believe it was week 3. So you can potentially stack him. Maybe Deontay Johnson, a little revenge game narrative. Kind of the guy that Tomlin doesn't want a game plan for. Or he could just run him naked, or he could play Derrick Henry. So I love this spot. And this game could potentially shoot out. So Russell Wilson's looked pretty good, actually, with Pickens. He's viable. And then you got Mike Williams, a big play threat now in the offense. So this is an exciting game. Another exciting game, Kansas City and Buffalo. I don't know how exciting it'll be for fantasy purposes as far as shootouts go, but these teams always go back and forth. Kansas City, they play defense. They play a slow style of ball. So I don't love the Kansas City side. I like the Josh Allen side. It's a tough cornerback matchup. I think this same thing with with Baltimore. I think this is a week where you could potentially play Josh Allen naked, and maybe he can get there with rushing tutties. But obviously, Shakir is a guy you can stack if we get Coleman back. He's stackable. Same thing with Amari Cooper, and they do have a 24-point flat team total. So we definitely like that. And then last spot that really stands out. In fact, let's jump into a draft. All right, we got 4 people to wait for. So last spot that really stands out to me, and then, we can go through these position by position, I suppose, is Los Angeles going against New England. So whenever they have their full arsenal of weapons, we typically like to target the Rams. We got Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua in the offense, and then obviously Kyren Williams as well. He's been sensational. I think he only has one game this year where he hasn't scored a touchdown. So love me some Kyren Williams here with a 24-point applied team total. And it's a pretty good spot. Actually, New England is the second worst run defense on the slate. So they're definitely a team that you could target via the run game. So, Kupp will always have consideration. Same with Puka. It's probably more likely a Kyren game in this spot. Of course, I picked the time when there's no one drafting. These drafts always go so quick, and I've done a lot of these first look drafts videos early in the morning, and it's fine. So 3 people. Maybe this will go really quick now, but maybe a couple other spots on the slate that we want to look at. New York Jets going against Indy. New York Jets have really let us down. This would be kind of a low exposure. Maybe you wait on your quarterback, you wait on wide receiver, robust running back type start. You get that elite tight end, the double running back, the elite tight end. Maybe you can get Adams, Garrett Wilson later, and then, stack them with Aaron Rodgers. So, we're about to kind of hop into the draft and see where ADP's at, because, that will really tell us, where we can look to go with these drafts. So that's why we like doing these first look drafts, just seeing what the field is going to be doing right away, seeing spots where we can find value, we can find leverage. Maybe there's a guy that hasn't played in a couple weeks and, the field might be sleeping on him. We can get him late in the draft, like maybe Brian Robinson Jr., for example. Not that he's on the slate, but that would be the kind of guy. Audric Estime, I think, is going to be starting for Denver this week, or if not starting, getting the bulk of the carries as we saw last week, kind of a changing of the guard there. So I'm interested to see what is the field doing right now currently with Audric Estime. And, Minnesota, this is actually a pretty good spot for them going against Tennessee. I was looking at it earlier, and actually Tennessee, they're giving up 26 points per game. So, I know we're kind of down on Minnesota right now because of Sam Darnold, but kind of same thing. Maybe we could get a Sam Darnold to Justin Jefferson stack later on, or just play TJ Hawkinson. Are we going to get Aaron Jones back? This could probably be a sneaky good spot. Now, Green Bay, I think maybe we're sleeping on Green Bay a little bit as well. Whenever the matchup is tough with Green Bay and no one wants to play them, that's kind of when they might really have a good game. We've seen it before from Jordan Love. It's like, why didn't we want to play Jordan Love this week? Seems kind of crazy. So going against the Bears got a pretty good secondary. But Jordan Love, he has so many pass catchers that he can spread the ball out pretty good. So Jordan Love could be a guy that's in play. It's actually a pretty decent spot for Josh Jacobs. Chicago, they're better attacked via the ground than through the air. So maybe we can get in on a little bit of Josh Jacobs here. And, there's so many premier matchups for running backs. He might be a little overlooked on this slate. Other spot that stood out to me, I think the field might be sleeping on a little bit because they had such a bad last week, but 2 weeks ago was amazing. Cleveland going against New Orleans. New Orleans is a team that you could target through the air. They're actually one of the 3 worst teams on the slate in the secondary. So, and on the ground. So maybe Chubb gets going this week. I don't know. I think, I'm not so sure I want to play Jameis Winston stacks, but I definitely want to get some exposure to Cedric Tillman this week. David Njoku, they're guys I would love to target both of them. And then kind of finish it up in Atlanta, going on the road to play Denver. Nix has been good. He's looked better and better every week. I'm a Broncos fan. I can attest to this, but the footwork was really bad at the beginning of the season, and a lot of it was just running. But he has been processing very well, going through his progressions, decisive. Footworks look great. He's been very accurate. So I think the game's slowing down for him a lot. I think this could be a good spot for him. Going against an Atlanta team, giving up almost 24 points per game. So it's a decent spot. A lot of times these middling games, these 44-point totals are really the games that you want to target because they can really hit the over. On the other side of that game, it's going to be a tough game for London. I think that opens things up for Mooney and Ray McLeod as well as Kyle Pitts. So, Patrick Surtain going to lock down Drake London as he did DeAndre Hopkins last week, as he did Mike Evans earlier this year. And I think that'll potentially open up some wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3, and tight end 1 roles. And then, I guess Bijan would be – it's not the best matchup, but if we're talking about a guy getting passes out of the backfield who can really, do a lot with them, Bijan would certainly be that guy. We've made it to one person waiting for one. So I've never had to take this long. I'm hoping that someone else will hop into this draft real quick here. All right, so we're filled, guys. I'm picking second. So we can kind of look for some spots. Now, by the way, if you like these first look drafts, hit that like button. Let me know. Make sure you subscribe to the channel because I have a lot more Underdog Fantasy content coming your way. DFS drafts, best ball, you name it, we got it coming your way. So this is courtesy of DFS Army. I use their projection system. A staff member at DFS Army. I also do content for them as well. But one of the perks of being a DFS Army staff and a VIP specifically is these game tiles and also the projections. So I could kind of sort who the players who project the best each and every week. So, in fact, let's do FanDuel because that is a half PPR format. We just have to be mindful that FanDuel does the night game, which will be Cincinnati and the Chargers, and Underdog doesn't. So we can kind of look through here and see who the best projections are. And this guy's on the clock. So Christian McCaffrey is obviously, I think, going to be the top guy, and he's gone. Now, who do I go here? Do I go Derrick Henry? Do I go Devin Achane? I kind of feel like this could be a Derrick Henry game. So we're going to go with Henry. They have that high implied team total that, we really want to target over 24 points. And, Kyron would have been a good pick there, of course, as well. But I like Henry in that spot. He's been so incredibly consistent. And I think it's going to be a hard game for the wide receivers of Baltimore. So I like picking Henry in that spot. I can see it being a Henry game for sure. So looks like it went Henry and Alvin Kamara. And we'll kind of see, where the draft falls here. But as I was saying, this is something, in fact, last day for VIP 50. You can try DFS Army for a week for $12 or for a month, $44.99. Use code VIP50 at checkout. I'll put the link in the video description. But the projection system for all DFS, all fantasy football is very important. And specifically, this optimizer is set up for FanDuel, DraftKings, and Yahoo. But the projection system is certainly something that is very useful for these DFS drafts as well. So it went Kamara, Achane, Jefferson, Lamar, Amon-Ra St. Brown. So some good spots there, not surprising. And, we'll kind of follow this back around here. So I went running back heavy to start. So Lamar's gone. A lot of the running backs are gone. I think I wouldn't be opposed to taking Jahmyr Gibbs there. It's a good spot for Tyreek Hill, for Puka. I would take any of those guys as well. Okay, so we're on the clock. I think this is a good spot to double up at running back, get both of my running backs out of the way. I like Detroit because they have that 30-point implied team total, so that's definitely a spot that I'm looking to target the running backs. It's a smash spot. Tyreek Hill just went. I was hoping he would make it back to me, but clearly he was not going to. This is also a good spot for Puka, as we established. They have that 24-point in applied team total going against a New England team that's pretty poor. Poor team overall. So I like this spot. I think Kyren is the obvious play. So maybe Puka's going to be slept on a little bit. I like being able to take Puka, and I could potentially stack him up with Matthew Stafford, and that's a guy I can get in the last round. So I love that because when I look back at the 2024 Battle Royale winners through the first 10 weeks of the season, I think it was 9 weeks actually of the season, almost all but one team was had drafted their quarterback in the 4th round or later. So one team had done it in the 3rd round. 88% of the teams had drafted their quarterback in the 4th round or later. So I prefer to wait on quarterback, load up on stud running backs and wide receivers, get my tight end if I can, and then get the quarterback later. So let's kind of see where, like I said, I like Njoku in that spot. We could do a secondary stack with Andrews. That could be a good matchup for him. Bowers, Hawkinson, these are all good plays. We could do Laporta, a little secondary stack there with Jahmyr Gibbs because it's such a good spot. And let's see where we're at with wide receiver. Could this be a get-right spot for Debo? I could see it. If Debo's there, I think I might take him. Also like Garrett Wilson here. Because like I said, I do believe that is an under-the-radar spot for Wilson. So I think that was a good pick. This guy just took all right, there's Kareem Hunt. So it looks like Debo is going to fall to me. And then I'm going to take a tight end and then come back and take Stafford, I think. Unless Purdy's available. Maybe this is a Purdy spot. Purdy is still available. All right, let's see how this has gone. So are any of these guys going to take Purdy? Maybe. Everyone has taken their tight end, I think, pretty much. I think it's a good spot to actually just take Brock Purdy here. I like the upside of Purdy a little bit more than Matthew Stafford. So I got Purdy and Debo. And, my kind of thought process here was everyone had taken a tight end except for this guy. So I can wait on a tight end and, get one of basically the pick of the litter here. Assuming, I guess that guy could take any of my 4 tight ends here, but knowing that 3 of them will still be available, I certainly like that. So the first guy went Christian McCaffrey, Bijan, Tyreek Hill, Brock Bowers, and Zay Flowers. So good lineup for him. Miss Loney, Kamara, Allen, Pickens, Hunt, Adams. Pretty decent lineup. And then Achon, Kelsey, Kupp, Wilson, Cortland Sutton. I don't like this lineup. The 3 wide receivers that rarely works on Underdog. In fact, 88% of the time, it was the running back that you wanted in the flex. But stacked up Cortland Sutton with Bo Nix, so I'm on board Bo there. All right, TJ Hawkinson and Njoku both went. So I think the smart thing here would be to take Mark Andrews. I got Andrews and Derrick Henry, and I like this because it's a secondary stack. And with Andrews, we kind of avoid the corners that we're worried about with Pittsburgh. So, and there's some extra correlation there. We got Purdy, we got Debo, we got Puka. So, overall, I like this team that I just drafted, and let's kind of see what Circo DFS is going to do here with his last pick. I think it actually may have just froze up on us. So to recap, Purdy plus Debo, stack, great game environment against Seattle with a 28-point implied team total. Derrick Henry, same thing. That's a good environment going against Pitt and Mark Andrews. So I got a secondary stack there. Jahmyr Gibbs, huge implied team total, really good spot for them to be running the rock. And then Puka Nacua, another solid spot going against New England. So love this team. That's going to do it for this first look draft. Thank you for joining me. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel and stay tuned as we got a lot more content coming your way, including draft targets and fades for the Week 11 NFL slate dropping on Friday. So we'll see y'all.